I think we're going to just jump right in since this is being recorded. Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Uoko, GM for APC Integrated. I'm here to share some important strategies and tactics every business can utilize to avoid ransomware catastrophes. And it's not about getting stronger EDR and malware detection tools. I'm sure you're already familiar. Hey, we have to do that. This is different. This is things people don't usually think of, but definitely need to. 1 in 10 organizations attacked by ransomware last year, but it's unknown how many were able to stop through security measures versus needing to do recovery, and how many paid a ransom, right? On average, it takes about 24 days to recover from downtime. And statistics show the average impact is over $2 million per incident. And some places are hit multiple times. I'm going to talk about that. Today, we're moving past if and when of ransomware. Most people focus on the ransomware and the backups, the reaction to a ransomware incident. We're going to explore the valuables that actually determine if a company survives the psychological, legal, and operational blind spots. These are headlines from the day I started putting this webinar together. So I didn't just cherry pick these and go out and find them and seek them. This was what showed up in my email on the day I started putting together this webinar. So as you can see, ransomware is a huge threat and constantly evolving and growing. One of these, is it here? Yeah, the third one there, Hasbro, 5,000 employees. There was also a cyber attack at Jaguar Land Rover in 2025 that stalled car manufacturing for months in the UK. And the government stepped in to pay a $1.5 billion bailout to get them moving again. So I mention all this because even though organizations might pay the ransom, and it's quite common, more common that the result is you get your data back or get it decrypted, it's become the norm that, hey, you were willing to pay the ransom, so you're going to be targeted again in the future. You're kind of like the ideal customer for ransomware attacks. And so we really want a strategy that doesn't steer us down that path. Modern ransomware spends weeks sitting in your network before striking. So it's not the case that suddenly someone clicked or typed in the wrong URL and boom, system starts shutting down. It's now the case with AI. This type of threat has become very stealthy and can sit in your world without you even knowing about it before it's triggered. And so this slide is kind of a progression of what's occurred with ransomware. Before 2016 and then 2016 into 2020, now we're worried about supply chain compromises. Everyone remembers SolarWinds probably. And now AI phishing, and as I mentioned, double extortion. Not only could you be hit twice, but you can be hit double in each of those instances, meaning, hey, the threat actors want you to pay a ransom to decrypt your files. Okay, we agree to pay that. What is it? $2 million. Great. Oh, by the way, since we exfiltrated a copy of your files, we want another $2 million to not disclose that to the rest of the world, to put it out on the dark web. So it's a double whammy, double extortion. This is a screen cap that you should do. These are the norm, the IT considerations that if you don't have these in place, I'm not going to spend much time talking about these, but there's a lot more to this. So this is typically what the IT department your IT team or your managed services provider is thinking about and doing in regard to threats like ransomware. And so those lines there, that's a checklist. You should go down there and make sure all the boxes are checked. So this is just a FYI, you should already be doing this. That's not what today's discussion is about. Oh, go back, there we go. Incident response playbook. So this is typical, grab this slide because it's what your IT team should be doing. The important portion of this in any sort of incident response playbook is for upper management to be aware of what can actually be achieved in a return to operation and recovery point. So you want to be up and running as quickly as possible. You want as little data loss as possible. And so the IT team can say to you, oh yeah, we can do this. We can be back up in 4 hours. We have a complete backup of everything. Well, how much data would we lose? Don't worry about that. It'll be minimal. Well, that's not good enough, right? You once or twice a year should be running your incident response playbook. You should be doing data disaster recovery, and whether it's a warm standby or whatever the mechanism is, test what you have planned to accommodate a ransomware attack or a disaster. Asteroid hits headquarters. What do we do? How do we get up and running as quickly as possible? How much data loss did we experience? So this needs to be a plan that is tested, not just written. What level are you? This is standard operating procedure to prepare for any disaster. This is what everyone thinks is the way to fight ransomware. It's not. This is like an alarm system alerting you after a break-in. And so looking at this slide, where is your organization here? Do you have full backup disaster recovery? Do you have business continuity in place? Do you have a warm standby in case operations go down in the East Coast? Is there somewhere Midwest or West Coast that people can sign in and work? So these are things that someone should have already tested, like I was saying in the previous slide. So where are you in this level of preparedness? Again, this is for leadership at this point. So upper management, leadership team, there should be a self-assessment and queries made to IT. Where do we fall in here? What type of organization are we? Do we have all of these above? And are they tested every 6 months? Important to find out. The person who clicked the link often faces immense guilt and shame paralysis, we call it. If your culture is one of blame, then the employee will hide the mistake for hours, the most critical hours for identifying and or containing what occurred. Mental health support for IT and patient zero is recovery requirement, not an afterthought. And I don't mean get them on a healthcare plan or send them to a treatment center. I mean that overall, the culture of your organization needs to be one of openness, not blame. If it's blame, then people will be self-conscious and very hesitant to admit, yeah, they typed in the wrong URL, or yeah, they clicked that email that didn't seem quite right. If you're open about what's occurred, and this is the general theme or spirit of your organization, it makes it a lot easier to identify what happened and to stop it quickly, and contain it, and address how to prevent that from happening in the future. If it's a culture of, well, we're firing the guy who clicked that phishing email, they should know by now not to do that, that's going to work against you in the long run because people are not going to be open about what occurred. Again, this is a leadership team thought process, exercise, not something you can do with EDR and malware protections. In 2026, many regulations treat a ransomware attack as a confirmed breach. Even if there hasn't been a breach, ransomware just got in, was triggered, and encrypted your files, doesn't mean they went anywhere. The moment data is accessed by that ransomware attack, it encrypted the file. Some states will consider that a breach, even though the data didn't leave, didn't go anywhere. Paying the ransom doesn't undo the legal obligation to report the theft. Was it really a theft? Was it really a breach? Well, it may be your state requires that a ransomware event gets reported, even if there's no evidence any sort of data was compromised. You can be fined millions for a leak, regardless of whether you fully recovered systems and data. In 2026, paying certain groups is a federal crime. So OFAC sanctions for some industries have made it a crime to pay a ransom in the event of a ransomware attack. Even if the threat actor says, no, we're guaranteeing you get all your data back and we're not taking any of it. We just want, so much Bitcoin and you're good. We're going to move on to somebody else. Doesn't matter. You can't pay it no matter how desperate you are, which can mean you can't bring your operations back. It's a tough situation. Management wants systems up now. Legal and forensics want systems frozen to find the entry point. If you restore too fast, you wipe the evidence, meaning you don't know if the hacker still has the back door open or not. Restoring a dirty backup leads to a second attack within weeks. And so I mentioned earlier that ransomware may be sitting there without you even knowing. And so it's getting backed up and it may get triggered. Oh, that's okay. We have a backup. We'll restore it. Well, you restored the item that is sitting waiting for, say, Christmas to hit you again. So it's a proactive decision-making process that needs to occur by the leadership team about how you're going to address these things. Do you have an acceptable use policy about risky behavior? Are you making sure not to do bring your own device? I can get into how and why that's a terrible thing, but if you're concerned at all about data compromise, there should not be a bring your own device policy. And so please screen cap this slide. This may be the most important one of the presentation because these are part of a self-assessment leadership team needs to do to determine how prepared are we for a ransomware event? Are we going to pay it or not pay? Are we going to pay if it's only up to a certain amount? If we're not paying, what are we doing in lieu of that? Do we have the ability to fully recover? Well, if we have the ability to fully recover, again, how long will that take? How much data is lost? And how can we be sure it's not going to repeat again? So these are decisions at top level that have to be made. It's not something you can do with malware protections. Another important slide. This is additional tactics. So we've talked about strategy and the leadership team. These are actual things that activities you can do that are part of the whole top leadership self-assessment and steering on how to address a ransomware event, both at being proactive to limit and reduce the potential for it occurring, and then afterward, how to react to an actual event or a potential compromise. And if you're looking at the graphic, instead of listening to me, that word is target. Took me a bit to figure out what they were doing too. So do you have conditional access policies in place? Are you using zero trust? These are all things on this slide that you can do and put into operation that are going to be immensely beneficial to making sure ransomware stays away and doesn't trigger. So screen cap that one, please. Time for Q&A. I always throw a few questions up there myself. I try to cover all the topic in my discussion, but I know that there are ancillary things people might bring up, so I try to guess at what some of those are. If you have questions yourself, then please ring in, feel free. The best tool or suite of tools when we're talking about EDR to protect against ransomware. Web filtering is one of the smartest things to do to keep people from going to not just bad websites or inappropriate websites, but going to the wrong website. So you should have filtering in place in case somebody types Microsoft.com and they type it wrong, omitting a letter. Number two, if we absolutely cannot be down for more than 1 hour, should we have a ransomware fund? Does cyber liability insurance cover any portion? Cyber liability insurance sometimes can cover a portion of this. Once again, it often depends on the niche industry you're in. Should you have a litigation fund or a cyber liability fund in place? If you can afford it, can't hurt. But that should be put toward recovery and protections. I don't recommend paying, because if you pay them, that means they will be coming back. Put money into planning and protections. Continuous data protection to a warm standby is a good way to go. Multi-region resilience, etc. Who should own the full scope of ransomware resilience strategy? Again, this is the leadership team. It's not an IT concern. It's the brass of the organization. But it's a shared responsibility, right? You have to talk to the CFO and talk about what sort of money's involved. CIO is part of the IT approach, and that slide we covered. CEO, he's going to be making decisions. So this is a cross-departmental leadership team strategy that needs to be put in place. And so it's a group that owns the full scope of setting up ransomware resilience. And that's what I have for today. Any other questions? We're good. I promised 30 minutes. I think we're way under the 30 minutes. Everyone attending today is going to get a copy of this, and so you'll be able to review it. If you didn't get a chance to screen cap any of those slides, you can pause the video and grab them then, make them part of your ransomware resilience strategy. And of course, if you have a team of people already that you're thinking of setting up internal culture of openness and addressing proactively this type of incident, send me an email. We can give you a lot of guidance in that respect. Thank you for coming today. Take care now. Bye-bye.